Hey guys, today we're going to be doing a little bit of a mixture of science, meaning we're going to be mixing up different ingredients to see how they react with one another while learning a little bit more about rain. So what I need for this is I needed a jar of just water, I needed a plain empty glass, I needed some vegetable oil, and I needed some food coloring. Pretty simple. I brought my fork out because I need to stir it. So as long as you have something to stir something, you're good to go. So the first thing we need to do is we need to put some oil into this glass. Don't need a lot, but enough to show what you're gonna do. So see, I didn't fill it up a ridiculous amount. Just not even halfway, maybe a little under. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to add a few drops of my different colors of food coloring. 1, 2, 3. You can do more, but I'm not going to. I'll bring this up here so you can see. They kind of drop to the bottom, but they're still in their own little ball. You can see that. 1, 2, 3. And they just sink right to the bottom. They're not separating. You see how the oil is not making it change all the different colors. It's staying in their own little ball of like a little bead of food coloring. Oh, I did 4 on that one. Pretty unique. I'm gonna bring you closer. See a nice view in there. See how they're all kind of clumped together? Now I'm gonna stir it. I'm gonna use the back of my fork and I'm gonna stir them. See what's happening? They're kind of breaking apart, but is the color making the oil a different color? No, it's still staying in its normal oil, but they're breaking apart. So I'm going to put you back down so I can keep going here. But I wanted you to be able to have a good view of what I'm doing here. So now I'm just going to keep vigorously stirring. That means really fast, putting a lot of effort and power into that. So now we have like a whole bunch of just little dots. It did not change my oil whatsoever. That's because the oil does not react with the food coloring. It does not dissolve it, so it stays separate. Now, what do you think is going to happen when I pour my oil with these food colorings into my jar of water? Do you think it'll all then mix together? Do you think it'll stay separated? What do you think the little drops of food coloring are going to do? Well, let's find out. So I'm pouring it in. And get all those food coloring in there. But did you see what happened? It sunk to the bottom, but did it stay at the bottom? No. And now what's happening? Can you see it? It sunk to the bottom and went all the way back up. There is a good amount right here of just oil. Now, do you see how the food coloring is going back into the water below? We're going to keep watching and see what happens. What if I stir it together? Now, the oil and the water will not dissolve one another. They keep their liquids separate. They do not like each other. They do not interact with one another. They are completely separated from one another. Now, my food coloring did go down and kind of change all my water to another color, which didn't necessarily do what I was expecting. Sometimes science is like that. You don't always get the results that you were expecting. But it was neat to see what it did in the very beginning. That was what I was really looking forward to. Now, we did talk a little bit about how the oil, see that gap right there? That's all straight up oil. Oil did not dissolve the drops of the food coloring, but the water did. which does make sense because think about when you put food coloring into water or into any really kind of material, they usually soak it up and change the color. That's why we have this weirdly nasty looking color here. But the oil didn't dissolve it. Then the oil didn't dissolve the water, and the water doesn't dissolve the oil. Those two are no friends. They do not like each other. But I'm curious what happens if I pour it into another glass. I've never actually seen what happens here. I was just being a scientist myself. Look at all that green. Do you think the oil will separate itself again? It is. You see that? Again, even though I mixed it, like I stirred it a little bit ago, I put it into this cup, the oil is still separated. It has a tiny hint of a green, but I think that's more of a reflection coming from the green below, instead of necessarily taking on that green tint, but I think it's doing a tiny bit, simply because it's sitting in the jar. But it's really unique how oil and water do not react well together, and they will not combine ever. Tune in next time for another science experiment.